Yesterday, Haiti's chief public prosecutor asked a judge to charge Prime Minister Ariel Henry in the slaying of President Jovenel Moïse. He also asked officials to bar him from leaving the country. According to the prosecutor, phone records show the prime minister had a 7-minute conversation with a key suspect in the killing just hours after the assassination.
Once news of the potential charges broke, Prime Minister Henry decided to fire the prosecutor, Bedford Claude, exposing the infighting in what is left of Haiti's government. English language editor at Haiti Liberté, Kim Ives, joins us to discuss Henry's involvement and charges. Kim, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be here.
So were these recommended charges surprising, or is this where everybody thought the investigation was headed?
Well, it's been brewing for a while. People have been understanding the circumstances as being very suspicious. The fact that Ariel Henry spent the night of the killing at the Hotel Montana, that he had these calls with a fellow called Joseph Felix Badiou, who appears to be the one who actually spoke to the Colombian mercenaries who machine gunned Moïse and told them to pull the trigger after they described him over the phone to Badiou, apparently. So that was about 1 o'clock in the morning. At 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:03 and 4:20 to be precise, Badiou is calling Ariel Henry and having a 7-minute total of 7 minutes of conversation. So everybody has more or less come to the conclusion that at the very least, he had foreknowledge of what was going on, and what was he doing talking to Badiou.
What is the potential motive here for the prime minister, if we're speculating, but if he is involved? Why, set up the political situation for us. Is there disagreement between the two? Are they politically aligned? Would it be just, seeking more power for oneself?
Well, I think that the authors of this are still hidden. They are deep-pocketed authors because we know that this had to cost millions of dollars, this operation, mobilizing so many people over such a long period. And Ariel Henry had been appointed by Jovenel Moïse just 2 days before his assassination to be the prime minister. Now, in the days that have unfolded after this, there's been a real free-for-all in the government for who is going to be in charge. It started with the foreign minister, Claude Joseph, who laid claim when Ariel Henry went AWOL and did not show up to take over the reins of power. But then he laid claim, and there was a brief chest-bumping contest between the two. But it was finally the U.S. government with its allied ambassadors, what's called the core group, which decided Ariel Henry is going to run the show. So now there's basically two dueling coalitions of political parties and civil society groups, which have been offering their blueprints for what a transition would be. And I think in that process, there's these political dynamics are entering into the judicial realm. Basically, on Monday night, we see that Ariel Henry fired not only Bedford Claude, but the Justice Minister, Rockefeller Vincent, and head of the Council of Ministers, a guy called Louveris. These are all seen as close to Jovenel Moïse, and so there seems to be some sort of infighting there. Now we see that Bedford Claude has said that Ariel Henry is going to be indicted and can't leave the country. It hasn't been put out in Le Moniteur, the official paper, that at least maybe it's this morning, I don't know, that this order of the prime minister has gone through. firing these three. So this is the power struggle, which is all nested in the middle of this political struggle, two different fronts fighting for who's going to run the show in Haiti.
I feel like I need a flow chart, where I want to see who's connected to who and where the power is coming from and who might have been backing who and who's backstabbing who. I mean, this is just such a crazy story with lots of twists and turns. But where was this prosecutor, Bedford Claude, was this prosecutor politically aligned with anyone in particular, or was this like a totally objective, independent prosecutor?
Well, I don't know his full political pedigree, and I know it's very hard to follow. It's very Byzantine, but the point is that for one reason or another, Ariel Henry fired him on Monday after on Friday, this past Friday, that Bedford Claude invited, in a very deferential and polite way, Ariel Henry to come talk to him, to tell him about these phone calls to the guy who was the trigger man boss. And so was it on the basis of that he kicked him out? It's unclear, but it looks like there is some sort of alignment, or it seems that Ariel Henry wants to get Bedford Claude as well as Rockefeller Vincent, who's the Minister of Justice. Now, you have to realize the whole struggle is for control of the police, and Rockefeller Vincent wrote a note to the police saying, listen, I'm your boss, not anybody else. You have to take orders from me. So there's definitely a fight between Ariel Henry and this sector, both Bedford Claude and Rockefeller Vincent, who again seem to be close to Moïse, were close to Moïse, the assassinated president. And so it's a little unclear who's behind what, in fact, where the U.S. is, even though they sort of signed off, or I should say shoehorned in Ariel Henry into power.
And I want to ask about that shoehorning in, because this Haitian prosecutor wouldn't be the only one to have knowledge of this phone call that Henry made with the kind of architect of the assassination. So the U.S. must have been aware of that. We don't know exactly when the U.S. became aware of it. We know that the U.S., as you said, pushed Henry to go into power. There's been speculation that even though Moïse is kind of a right-wing strongman that had been for years doing the bidding of the United States, that he was becoming inconvenient because he was losing control of the country. He was being accused of stealing a whole bunch of money, which had triggered a lot of infighting among the elites, which wasn't useful to U.S. policy on the island. And so, if you connect all of those different dots, what do we think that the U.S.'s posture here toward Henry and toward the assassination was?
Well, so far the U.S. hasn't expressed any negative stand towards Henry. They still seem to support him, or I haven't heard anything coming from them. And he is a tried and true, a tried and tested agent, we could say, of the U.S. In 2004, after the coup d'etat against President Aristide, he sat on the Council of Sages, which basically ushered in or provided the semi-legitimacy veneer to the de facto government of Gerard Latortue. And then he played a role in a number of governments along the way, both Proval and Michel Martelly. Now I see the New York Times has had a whole thing that this may have links to a feud between Michel Martelly and Ariel Henry, who used to be on good terms, from what I understand. But in short, it's very, very hard to know right now which horse the U.S. will back. I think Ariel Henry, clearly they chose him in this latest struggle he had with Claude Joseph during the 2 weeks following the assassination. My feeling is that if he doesn't work out, I don't see who the next candidate is. It should be said that a crusty old reactionary opportunist guy called Joseph Lambert, who was the head of the Senate, was chosen by the 9 other senators that remain to be the president. And he did a stunt yesterday where there was a lot of gunfire around the parliament and tried to put himself in as president. I don't think the U.S. wants a president. They want to deal with one executive office, that is the prime minister, even though it's the president who's supposed to appoint the prime minister. But I don't think they want both a president and a prime minister. So these are my guesses, my speculation, basically, about what posture the U.S. is going to take. They want one strong prime minister. I don't think they want Joseph Lambert. In fact, they kind of warned him not to get involved. And right now, who is going to replace Ariel Henry if he bites the dust? I'm not too sure.
Right.
Thank you so much for being with us, Kim Ives.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, tomorrow on Rising, HuffPost reporter Arthur Delaney joins to discuss where House Democrats and President Biden disagree on the tax component of his Build Back Better agenda.
And former chair of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, Greg Jasko, joins us to discuss the push for nuclear energy.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you all right back here tomorrow. Thank you.
Bye.